My concern, though, Zanik, is that we're defining gas properties, and you're saying it expands in all directions.
Yes.
So, according to a NASA citation that we showed you yesterday, it would be a force on the walls of a container. And the reason it's defined that way is because gas would expand in all directions. An expansion, as you described it. So it's not just down, it's also in all directions.
No, it's not just down, it's all directions, correct. But it's mostly down if there is a force involved.
Regardless. So gas, by its nature, expands in all directions, and the pressure is the force it exerts on an adjacent wall, if you will.
Molecule. Or surface. Down.
A surface.
You can have a certain, well, if there's no ground, if there's no surface of the earth, there would be no pressure.
Not surface of the ground. We're not there yet. We're talking about the sky, specifically about the sky. Now, we're at this stage where we understand that gas expands in all directions and not just down, and we're asking how we can have gas pressure without a container.
And I told you, if you have a force, you do not need a container. It's specifically said in gas theory, in gas law, in molecular properties of matter, when you talk about gases, this is something that's known to everybody who studies it.
State the gas law.
We're also waiting for a citation in this regards to this force acting upon gas. Can you cite that as well, please?
Hey, Mr. Citation of all things good in the internet.
State the gas law right now.
PVNRT.
State the gas law or you go on mute.
I said PVNRT.
Okay, define V.
Did you hear what he said?
No, I didn't hear it.
He said define the V. Victor.
Volume.
Oh, volume? Volume of what?
Of the gas.
No.
Volume of the container.
Oh, so in gas law, we have the volume of a container.
Correct.
So, according to gas law, without the container, there can be no pressure.
According to the gas law,
without the container, there can be no pressure. It's calculable using that V. The V being volume, and the volume being the container.
Right.
Right. So my question at the start of this, Zanik, was how can you have gas pressure without a container? And you gave us some word salad without citation.
So when you talk about theoretical and experimental physics, there are laws. These laws use these equations, and they're for optimal and ideal situations. So in order for you to understand the relationship between how gas behaves, they use a container. Yes, it doesn't mean or preclude gases from having a pressure without a container.
Okay. Hold on. That's at this stage, Zanik. Sorry, Zanik. At this stage, Zanik, you seem triggered. Is it because you can sense the demolition coming? You've made what I would call, at this stage, Zanik, I'd like you to just listen to my response. I'll let you get all of your triggered emotion out because you can sense the end coming. Go ahead. Now I'm going to take this.
Are you going to let me speak or not?
I left a long pause. You didn't speak, so I assumed that was actually my point to actually start making the summary I was going to, but you couldn't stop interrupting. Go ahead, get all of your interruptions out now. Then I will demolish your assertion that you don't need a container, regardless of the fact that an ideal gas law doesn't necessarily, according to you, apply in this scenario, and you don't need a container. What I was going to summarise by saying is please give us a demonstration of gas pressure without a container rather than your baseless assertion. Can you demonstrate that baseless assertion you've just made, that you don't necessarily need a container beyond your fundamentalist religious belief in a sky vacuum? Can you demonstrate this?
So
I hadn't quite finished. I knew you'd interrupt because the end is nigh. This would be the point where you either demonstrate your religious belief in a sky vacuum, or point to your religious sky vacuum belief as the proof, or concede you cannot demonstrate gas pressure without a container. There's only 3 choices. Let's see which he picks.
Okay. So we have gas pressure without a container. If you walk outside and...
That's a religious choice number 2. So he pointed to his sky vacuum belief as the proof of his sky vacuum belief. That would be circular reasoning. So he picked
And
option number
special
2. Don't rumpus me in my own panel. He picked option number 2. Use circular reasoning, say go outside and point at the sky because it is a vacuum, therefore it is a vacuum. That would be circular reasoning, choice number 2. Let's see if he picks one of the other 2 choices.
It's excuse me.
How is
That's
it
also
circular
a
reasoning?
special pleading fallacy.
Special pleading fallacy, correct.
You can measure 14.7 psi out there in the air, right outside your house. Then you go up 100,000 feet and see 0.16 psi, showing that there's a pressure gradient.
Showing that there's pressure at that height. So far we've proved we've got gas pressure. And we're asking for proof of gas pressure without a container because the heliocentric model has the Earth with gas attached in a vacuum without containment. So we don't need you to prove that there is gas pressure at 100,000 feet because that's proving that there is gas pressure. And without the container, there can be no pressure. We have a baseless assertion from you that you don't necessarily need a container. We're asking you to prove that baseless assertion, and you've used circular reasoning and pointed at your fundy sky vacuum that doesn't exist because it's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, Zanuck.
Why is it the third law or second law of thermodynamics?
Second law of thermodynamics violation. Entropy would increase and the gas would fill the available volume. The available volume, the V in the gas law you gave us, that V would be all of outer space. And the V in this instance would be rapidly filled by the gas we're breathing. Well, we wouldn't be breathing it, because the V in that gas law would be all of outer space and we wouldn't have any gas. The gas would fill the available volume.
You cannot have gas in a container and have a pressure gradient.
Yes, you can. It's been demonstrated by 2 people, one on each side of this argument. Hillbilly Blue Balls on your side of the argument, and Zachary, good man. Good times for all. Zachary Zabala have both demonstrated gas pressure gradients in containers.
I'll give you a citation for that.
I've just given it you. You can go and check it out on their channel. Good Times for All. GUDTIMS number 4ALL. And I think he's called Blue Marble Science, a contradiction in terms. We fondly call him Hillbilly Blue Balls. Both demonstrated gas pressure gradients inside containers. In the case of Hillbilly Blue Balls, he had atmospheric pressure at the top and butane pressure at the bottom of his container. Zachary Sabala managed to manipulate his gas with heat, giving a pressure gradient lower at the top than it was at the bottom. Both have demonstrated this visually.
If you have a pressure gradient, you need to have a force. You need to have a...
No, you need a container. This force horse shit has still not been cited by you. Your baseless assertion hasn't had any cowbell, and you continue to make your baseless assertion with special pleading by pointing at the sky.
No special pleading whatsoever.
You said go outside, look at the sky. You've got a sky vacuum because I say it's a sky vacuum. That's special pleading and circular reasoning.
Why do you think you need a container?
Without the container, there can be no pressure. It's part of gas law. It's the V! It's the V! You're just going to talk through it? Anthony was right. So I'm giving him the demonstrate. Hello?
Come on.
Hello?
Be real.
You don't want to hear the devastating rebuttal, so you're going to rumpus the shit out of it. You've asked a question, and as Anthony demonstrated on the live show, you will talk through the rebuttal because it devastates your claim. It's
Look in the chat.
Oh, it started again. I'll get to the end eventually. I don't mind if it takes 25 attempts with a triggered fundy called Zanuck. It's the V. The V volume of what? A container? And all you did was point at the... I hadn't finished, Zanuck. Zanuck, all you're doing at the moment, because we're winning, is demonstrating that when we give these devastating argument rebuttals to your shit claims, all you can do is talk through them. It's telling to the audience now, it's not helping your cause, it's hindering it. It's showing the audience just how badly you're getting beaten, because you can't let the reply through. It must be stopped.
Go ahead, knock yourself out.
You don't need to give me permission, you need to shut your mouth. But you won't, and it's telling to the audience. While you're giving me permission to talk, I'm pointing out that your interruptions are telling. They're not helping your cause by stopping the eventual delivery of that V. Yeah? The V, the volume. That's what proves it. Are you going to address that V? Or are you going to remove it from gas law to meet your fundamentalist religious needs of a sky vacuum that doesn't have volume containing the gas?
When studying the gas and understanding the theories, they have a container to use in this ideal condition.
No, it's not a theory, it's a law. Laws aren't the result of scientific theory. This tells me, Zanuck, that at a base level you simply do not understand what science actually is. Scientific laws aren't a result of the processes of the scientific method, and one of those, or multiples thereof, would result in scientific theory. You've just asserted this law is a result of theory. It isn't. This just tells me you don't understand what science is.
I actually do.
Yeah,
You're laughing at
don't.
me.
You mean the physics forms understand what science is?
Yeah,
you
this
don't.
Dipshit. Listen up, Zanuck, you stupid fundy zealot. Listen to me, Zanuck, you fundy zealot idiot. Scientific laws, otherwise known as natural laws, do not come as a result of an adherence to the scientific method. Once you have applied the scientific method, that would be systematic experimentation, you can form scientific theories. Your incorrect declaration that this law has come from theory simply demonstrates that you do not understand what science is.
And I'm trying to explain to you that you're right. The ideal gas law does not apply to all conditions. It is a way to use this experimental theory and law to understand how gas...
Dipshit. It's not experimental. That's the fourth time I've said it, you stupid fundy idiot.
Are there any ideal gases?
Excuse me. Don't whistle past me pointing out your ignorance and stupidity. It is not based on experiment for the fourth time.
Why don't you tell me how having gas pressure next to a vacuum violates the law of the second law of thermodynamics and entropy?
Dead 5,000 times for the past 3 months, you moron. How many times you got to do it?
Entropy.
Yeah, the gas would fill the space.
Go back to your physical. You know, in fact,
you can't. You know.
That's the best thing that's happened so far.
But he's asked, so I'll do it. How does it violate the second law of thermodynamics? Entropy would want to increase. The gas would want to fill the available volume, that V that you described, the volume of the container. Now, even though in the nonsense rhetoric of the heliocentric model, even their vacuum is containerless, it's still classified with a volume that you can calculate, and that would be the space the gas we breathe would want to fill, because entropy would want to increase. The gas would want to fill the space. It wouldn't suddenly stop at some arbitrary location called the Kármán line because you've decided that's where your religion of a sky vacuum contains the gas. It's a preposterous assertion that flies in the face of natural law.
Ask Zanuck about containers and thermoses. That's where it failed last time, open and closed systems.
I think John shut him up.
From the entropy site.edu, gas expansion into a vacuum, the mixing of ideal gases or liquids, diffusion, effusion, colligative effects, and osmosis. Each fundamentally involves an increase in entropy due to increased dispersion of energy with no change in total energy in the case of ideal substances due to a greater number of microstates for the particular system involved. It's over. Have a nice day.